8 years. That's how long Sunderland spent in the wilderness. 8 years of heartbreak, League One football, and broken dreams. But here's the thing nobody saw coming. They're not just back to make up the numbers. Under a French coach you've probably never heard of, the Black Cats have transformed into something genuinely frightening. While everyone's been sleeping on them, Regis Le Bris has been building a machine. And trust me, the rest of the Premier League is about to find out just how dangerous a wounded giant can be.
But it's brilliant what they've done, and we need to see teams from the Championship that come up do well. It'll still be difficult as the season goes on, but it's a great start for them. So yeah, what a great start for Sunderland, and they deserve a special mention.
Alright, let's talk about Regis Le Bris. And yeah, I'm gonna be honest, before last summer, most of us had never heard this name. But here's where it gets interesting. Le Bris officially joined Sunderland on July 1st, 2024, signing a 3-year deal after leaving French club Lorient.
But Regis Le Bris as their new head coach, been confirmed. The Championship side have agreed compensation with Lorient.
Now you may be thinking, okay, another Championship manager appointment, what's the big deal? But this wasn't just any hire, this was strategic, this was different. Because Le Bris isn't your typical coach. He holds a doctorate in sports psychology and biomechanics. We're not talking about a guy who just knows the game through experience. We're talking about someone who understands football at a scientific level. Movement patterns, energy systems, biomechanical efficiency. It's like hiring a football professor who can actually coach. His track record? Le Bris led the team to a 10th place finish in Ligue 1 in his first season. Not bad for a guy managing at the top level for the first time. But here's what caught Sunderland's eye: his methodology, his systems, the way he built teams that punched above their weight. Sunderland has been away from the Premier League for 8 years. 8 years of Championship mediocrity, League One football, false starts, and shattered hopes. They needed more than just a manager. They needed an architect, someone who could build something sustainable, something intelligent, and that's exactly what they got.
There is time! There is late drama! Who's the daddy?
Now, let's get into the good stuff, the tactics, because this is where Le Bris separates himself from the pack. His preferred setup is a 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3. Pretty standard, right? Wrong. It's what happens within that structure that's fascinating. Le Bris builds from the back with his centre-backs wide, creating passing lanes, inverting the press, and then, boom, he exploits the space left behind. His teams love 1v1 situations on the wings. At Lorient, they ranked 3rd in Ligue 1 for dribbles and 1v1 duels. They weren't trying to walk it into the net like prime Barcelona. They were direct, aggressive, and always looking to isolate defenders in wide areas. It's football with an edge. But here's the really clever part, the transitions. Le Bris' teams defend in a compact low block. They sit deep, absorb pressure, and then spring forward like a coiled snake. Against top teams, they'll commit 4 players to press from a goal kick, forcing errors, and then they drop back to shape instantly. It's organized chaos, and it's absolutely exhausting to play against. One tactical analyst described it perfectly. Le Bris doesn't demand flamboyance, he demands intelligence. His players know exactly where to be, exactly when to trigger the press, exactly how to exploit space. It's predictable for them, but unpredictable for opponents. And that's the beauty of it. The result? A team that looks compact, modern, and scary. They're not the most possession-heavy side you'll ever see, but they don't need to be, because when they do have the ball, they know exactly what to do with it. So, Le Bris arrived with his philosophy, his doctorate, and his tactical boards. But philosophy doesn't win games, players do. And this is where Sunderland's summer transfer strategy becomes crucial. They went out and signed Granit Xhaka from Bayer Leverkusen for an initial £13 million in a deal that could rise to £17.3 million. Let me repeat that. Granit Xhaka, a guy who just won the Bundesliga with Leverkusen, a former Arsenal captain with 137 caps for Switzerland, and Sunderland convinced him to join a newly promoted side. Paul Merson called it, "What a signing for Sunderland Xhaka is, what a signing." And he's right, because Xhaka brings something Sunderland desperately needed: experience, leadership, and a metronome in midfield. He's the kind of player who makes everyone around him better. But Xhaka wasn't alone. Sunderland made 14 new signings that summer, spending smart and recruiting for specific roles. Defenders who could clear their lines, midfielders who could control tempo, wingers who could beat their man. And here's the thing, Lebrie didn't blow up the squad. He kept the core, the guys who earned promotion, and blended them with new arrivals. No egos, no division, just unity. The early results? Absolutely electric. In the Championship, Sunderland started with a perfect record. 10 goals scored, just 1 conceded in the first month. Lebrie won Manager of the Month. The system was clicking, the players were buying in, and suddenly, Sunderland weren't just surviving, they were thriving. Fast forward to their Premier League start. They've recorded the best start by a promoted side since Wolves in 2018-19, sitting 7th after 8 games. That's not luck, that's not overperformance, that's a well-coached team executing a clear plan. Alright, let's break down why Sunderland are genuinely scary, not cute underdog story scary, actually dangerous. First, defensive solidity. They clear everything, they block everything, they win their aerial duels. In one match against Nottingham Forest, they recorded 42 clearances, 6 blocks and 6 interceptions. That's a team that refuses to be broken down. Second, set pieces. They're an aerial powerhouse. Defenders like Omar Alderete are nightmares to deal with in the box. When Sunderland get a corner or a free kick, you better believe they're a threat. Third, unpredictability in attack. They don't play like a newly promoted side, sitting deep and hoping for a counter. They attack with purpose. Wide players taking on defenders, quick transitions, movement off the ball. They create chances that make you go, wait, how did they just carve us open? Fourth, the Stadium of Light factor. Granit Xhaka himself described his first home game. The atmosphere was one of the best I've ever experienced. It gave me goosebumps. 49,000 fans creating a cauldron. That's a genuine home advantage. And here's what makes them truly scary. They're performing above their expected metrics. They average just 43.2% possession, sometimes as low as 28% against top sides, but they're 4th in the table. That means they're maximizing every chance, defending brilliantly, and making teams pay for mistakes. As one analyst put it, it's almost by design that they have fewer chances than opponents, but they're brilliant at making the most of the ones they do get. That's not a fluke, that's a system working exactly as intended. Now, let's keep it real, because as impressive as Sunderland have been, the Premier League is a marathon, not a sprint. Challenge number 1, possession deficit. They're not a team that dominates the ball, and while that's fine against some opponents, what happens when bigger sides sit deep against them? Can Lebrie adapt? Will he shift to a back 3 like he did at Lorient? That's something to watch. Challenge number 2, squad depth. Lebrie himself acknowledged they have a very young squad with limited shared experience. When fixtures pile up, when injuries hit, when fatigue sets in, can they maintain this level? That's the big question. Challenge number 3, away form. They've been brilliant at home, but Premier League survival often comes down to grinding out results on the road. Can they replicate their home form at Anfield, the Etihad, Old Trafford? We'll see. The next few months will tell us everything. Is this a flash in the pan, or is this the foundation of something truly special? Because right now, the margins are thin, but the belief? That's real. So here's the bottom line. Regis Le Bris arrived at Sunderland with a clear philosophy. He recruited smartly. He built a tactical system that maximizes his players' strengths. And most importantly, he created a culture, one built on unity, intelligence, and relentless work rate. They defend like warriors, they attack with purpose, they've got leadership in midfield, pace on the wings, and a coach who thinks 3 moves ahead. And while the rest of the Premier League are still treating them like underdogs, Sunderland are quietly sharpening their claws. Because this isn't just about survival anymore, this is about proving they belong, about showing the world that smart recruitment, tactical intelligence, and belief can go toe-in-toe with billion-pound squads. So yeah, Regis Le Bris Sunderland are scarier than you think, and the teams who underestimate them, they're going to regret it. If you enjoyed this breakdown, smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss our tactical deep dives. Drop a comment below. Which Lebrie tactic impressed you most? Do you think Sunderland can sustain this momentum? We'll read the best responses in our next video. Until then, keep watching, keep analysing, and remember, in football, it's not always the loudest teams you need to fear. Sometimes it's the ones working in silence.